life is still worth living even when you're paying off debt and living frugally. Like there's still life out there that can be lived frugally. Hi and welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I thought I would talk about the frugal fatigue that I've been experiencing lately while trying to pay off debt. If you've been following me, you already know I've been living frugally and paying off debt for like 3 years at this point. And I usually don't mind it, but I don't know, something happened recently and I just got so tired of living the extreme frugal lifestyle that I've been living. I don't even know what caused it, but I just had this moment where I was missing my old lifestyle. So I kind of did some reflecting to try to figure out how I can combat frugal fatigue and like make frugal living sustainable for the long run. It helps that I'm working towards the goal of paying off my debt, but I do think if you decide to live frugally as a lifestyle choice, like there has to be goals attached to it or like a strong why to keep you going. But at the same time, I think there needs to be a little bit of leeway as well to kind of allow, I don't know, I just think there needs to be a balance between living frugally and letting yourself enjoy things in life a little bit. So anyways, so this is what I'm doing to combat frugal fatigue and make frugal living feel a little bit more sustainable and enjoyable, even when I just want to revert back to my old ways, which by the way, I'd never do, but I don't know, there's an inkling sometimes. So let's get into it. Also, yes, I'm drinking a matcha. I will explain. So the first thing that I started doing very recently to combat frugal fatigue is giving myself a cash budget. I'm not doing cash budgeting entirely for everything, but only for fun treats. So basically, I'm giving myself $50 cash every month, and that can go towards things like matcha, green juice, drinks out, like coffee out. I have a separate entertainment budget, which is also $50, but this one is really just like the little treats that I want day to day that I wasn't allowing myself to have before. So like little day-to-day expenses. Like I have to show you what I got from the grocery store. Okay, so like this kind of thing would never be in my grocery budget before. But like I bought this liter of green juice, which was on sale for $8, which seems kind of expensive, but it came out of my $50 cash budget. And I don't know, just having stuff like this makes me feel like I'm a part of the society that I used to be a part of before I started living frugally. Like, it's just nice to be able to buy a wellness treat like this. I also found this, I feel like this is probably like offensive to Japanese culture, but it's like pre-made matcha, like oat milk with matcha, which is what I'm drinking now. It was on sale at my grocery store for $5 for this whole liter of matcha, like pre-made iced matcha, which $5 is not a lot, but having iced matcha in my house just makes me feel like really happy. So just, yeah. Okay, moving on. The next thing that I'm doing that is kind of specific to me, but I think it can be relevant for everyone, is to put a little bit of extra money into the hobbies that I enjoy doing. So specifically, I found a mat Pilates group class that cost $15 per session, and I'm going to be doing that once a week. I feel like adding $60 for fitness classes into my budget is a little bit excessive, but at the same time, I think that fitness and wellness is such an important part of like what I enjoy doing in my lifestyle, and I currently don't spend any money on it because the gym in my building is obviously free. So I do feel like putting $60 for these once a week mat Pilates classes, it's worth it. It can be for anything really though, like something else I'd love to spend like that much money on per month is like going to the movie theater, like the cinema. But like I love watching movies in the cinema. I think it's such a fun experience, but I'd rather put that money towards Pilates for the next few months. But like giving myself that option, like that little bit of extra money to do things that I enjoy doing that are good for me, I think it's $60, but it will go a lot further than $60 should go, if that makes sense. Like being able to have something to look forward to, something that feels kind of like my old life when I was more spendy, but is still relatively frugal. It like, I don't know, it just puts some wind in my sails, I think. As I'm talking about this and looking at my list of things that I'm implementing, I kind of feel like frugal fatigue was a little bit mixed with just like making myself be a hermit too much, like staying at home, really just making my apartment building my safe space, and almost like, I don't know, I don't want to say it's like tied to mental health, but I do kind of think that I like made myself a little hermit a little bit too much, and that kind of like removing myself from society didn't help with the frugal fatigue that I've been feeling. So in line with that, the next thing that I'm doing is forcing myself, it's kind of strong wording, but like encouraging myself and giving myself the budget to work from public spaces. So by that I mean, instead of doing all of my work at my desk or as like a little shrimp on my couch, going out and maybe working from a cafe, like using some of my cash budget to buy a coffee and then spending a couple of hours in a cafe. Something else that I loved doing when I was, you know, not frugal, was working from hotels, like hotel bars or hotel lobbies. And I kind of feel like I pushed that kind of thing out of my mind as a protection method. I was talking to my friend Rania about this. Like, I kind of just told myself that all of these kind of luxury things that I was doing was not actually what I enjoyed doing, and I was only doing it because I wanted to be perceived as successful. But now that I've reflected a little bit more, I do feel like there were some things from my former life that I just genuinely enjoyed. So like working from a nice environment is one of them. Like I do genuinely love hotels and hotel culture. I mean, I was a travel writer reviewing hotels for a long time. And there's no reason why I can't budget like $15 every now and then for a glass of wine in a hotel lobby, or even just like $5 to $10 for a coffee or a tea in a hotel lobby and work from there. I feel like just getting out of my apartment and going into inspiring spaces will make a big difference for my frugal fatigue and like the sort of longing that I had for a more spendy lifestyle, if that makes sense. The next one I've already talked about. It's increasing my grocery budget a little bit. So I was only spending $25 a week on groceries when I was laid off, which was fine, and I do feel like I was doing okay. I was like making pretty much everything from scratch and like really just eating to survive. But I do think adding a little bit of leeway into my budget for things like fresh fruit or like nutritional yeast or chia seeds, stuff like that, like things that are not essential but make life easier, or like make my, I don't know, like it's not that the things I'm buying are like trendy, but it's more just like wellness focused things that I'm buying that are fun to eat. So like I've been making chia puddings, I mentioned, which I wasn't doing before. I have been making smoothies again, which has been really fun, and it hasn't been that much of an increase to my grocery budget to add these things, but it really has kind of put a little pep in my step, and I've definitely seen a difference at the gym too, like eating more protein, like buying tofu, which I can eat more of, versus like beans and lentils, which were kind of upsetting my stomach. I don't know, I just feel like adding that little bit back into my budget for my groceries has really made a difference in my happiness level. I mean, I'm not going wild or anything, like I'm still not buying, you know, anything that's considered fancy, but I do think that, I don't know, just like putting a little bit, taking the pressure off myself to be constantly like making the cheapest things, like the flatbreads I was making, I've kind of swapped out for English muffins again, for example, which with morning French classes, it's been a lot easier and more pleasant. Yeah. And the next one is, I kind of feel like the way that I'm talking, it sounds like I don't want to be frugal anymore, which is not the case. I think even when I'm out of debt, I still will be very responsible with my money. I'll always live on the more frugal side. There are just like certain things that I want to be able to spend on. But anyway, my point is, one of the other things that doesn't have to do with consumption that I've been doing to get out of my frugal fatigue is consuming new frugal content. So I've always enjoyed watching frugal YouTubers, listening to how they live their life and their ethos, and reading like frugal content too, but like frugal books or like books on sustainable living, etc. Something that's really helped me, which is kind of funny, is switching up the frugal content creators that I follow. So I mentioned this in another video, but I recently started binge watching Bradley on a Budget, and I knew about him before, but I'd never really followed him or watched his content because I thought he was mostly on TikTok, and I don't have TikTok. Then I found out he has a podcast on YouTube, and I swear I've watched like every single one of his videos this month. Like I just went through the whole catalog because his way of talking about frugal living is so different than like the lifestyle girlies that I usually follow or usually watch. And I feel like his commitment to frugal living, his sense of humor, like getting a glimpse into how somebody else is making frugal living work and make it sustainable and also make it fun, has really helped me see that life is still worth living even when you're paying off debt and living frugally. Like, something that I love about him is that he challenges himself to get out and do things as frugally as possible. Like, it sounds like this is a sponsored video for Bradley on a Budget now, but it's not. I just like him. But one of his videos that I really loved was he went on a trip to London, like London in the UK, and he did it as cheap as he possibly could. So London is like one of the most expensive cities in the world, and something that he just kept saying was that like nowhere is expensive for him because he figures out how to do it as frugally as possible. And that just like opened something up for me. Like, I feel like I have been just shutting life out a little bit while focusing on frugal living, especially because my income is lower than it used to be. Like, I think that plays into it. Like, I'm definitely more low income than I used to be, and I need to figure out a solution for that before I actually have to start going into debt to pay my bills. I think I've been like clinging on to freelance life for too long. I kind of feel like this could be another video, to be honest with you. I might put a pin in that and talk about it later. But my point is that he doesn't let frugal living stop him from actually getting out and having fun. Like, he budgets for fun experiences like travel. And I don't know, just seeing that inspired me a lot and made me realize that I need to do more to have fun and not just sit in my apartment and do my free frugal hobbies at home. Like, there's still life out there that can be lived frugally. Which brings me to my next point, which I basically just went over, but it's getting out of my routine, like getting out and just doing something. So for example, like in my last video about living in Montreal in the summer, I got out and took a Bixi to the Old Port, and that cost, I think it was like $5 in total to take the Bixi and walk around. I didn't buy anything when I was out. I just got a library card, which I outlined in that video. But yeah, just getting out, like I wrote down specifically, which is what I've been doing, which is taking the metro to a random metro station in Montreal and kind of just like exploring the area. I feel like there's a lot of Montreal, even though I lived here for 12 years for the first time, and now I've been back for 6 months. So like almost 13 years in total I've lived in Montreal, but there are still neighborhoods that I've never been to, especially in the eastern part of the island, which is a little bit more French speaking. So one of the things that I'm doing for the rest of the summer and into the fall is just making an effort to walk around. Like walking around in a new neighborhood is completely free. I can bring snacks with me, like I don't have to buy anything. The metro is free because I have a monthly pass, and it kind of just like gets me out of my little routine at home. I like see the sights. I come home feeling a little bit energized and like I've been part of society. So yeah, it's been good. But I don't know, I just think that it's really what I've learned, especially since moving back to Montreal. Like I wasn't really like this when I was in Istanbul. I really like went out and lived my life even when I was living on a budget. To be fair, my income was higher back then too. Like this year, my income is the lowest it's been probably since I've been in university. So I do think that me kind of hermiting myself into my apartment is a protective mechanism, like not wanting to spend money, but also just like using that as an excuse to stay home. It's not healthy, and I think it's really made me resent frugal living a little bit. So doing all of these things, kind of increasing my budget, even though I have to be really careful with that, and making more of an effort to just go out without spending money, like going out and living life and just doing it a little bit differently than I used to. So like, for example, like the walking around thing, like I'm not necessarily stopping for a glass of wine or stopping for a meal. Like I'm not going to a neighborhood for a destination to shop or eat or whatever. It's just to walk around. I think making those shifts, it's helped me to just enjoy life a little bit more while saving money, while paying off debt, while trying to figure out my next steps. Yeah, I hope that was helpful or interesting. I kind of feel like frugal fatigue can sneak up on you and then just feel like it's come out of nowhere. Like I always say that I enjoy frugal living, which is true for the most part, but it's just sometimes you need to make the extra effort to ensure you're still living a full and happy life, if that makes sense. It's not that I was not living a happy life before, but I just feel like I kind of cocooned myself a little bit too hard, and now I'm trying to reverse that a little bit while spending a tiny bit more money, but mostly just doing things frugally, if that makes sense. Okay, not another ramble, I'm sorry. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. As usual, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.